Hey, what's up, guys? Mathes97, and we're back with another podcast. Today we're talking about the Night of Champions pay-per-view, and today I'm also joined by Brendan.
Hello.
Alright, so, overall, this pay-per-view, I wasn't expecting a whole lot getting into this one, and it didn't, I kind of got what I expected. What did you think about it?
Oh yeah, I wasn't expecting much either. I think probably one match on the card was, and that was the main event, which I actually didn't get to watch much of. I was a bit busy during it, so that sucked. But I saw the end of it. But that was the only match I was really looking forward to. The rest of them were kind of just meh, whatever.
Yeah,
And
so
they kind of the whole show was kind of a whatever.
yeah, they
It was
threw in
pretty.
a lot of extra matches afterwards, like
I was expecting that because I think there was only what 6 matches on the main show, one on the pre-show. So you had to assume they were going to throw in some filler matches, and they did. So what was it? The IC title and the Miz Fandango was put in there. So
Yeah, I'd like to not talk about the Miz Fandango one, so can we just skip that one?
oh no, we've got to cover it.
Alright, so let's start off with the beginning, the kickoff
Pre-show.
match, the tag team
And
turmoil.
I missed this one as well. My computer shut down halfway through the match, but primetime players won, so I was happy that they won that one.
Yeah,
And
I was a little surprised they started out with 3MB and tons of funk,
that's as
but
far as I got. I saw 3MB lose, and that's as far as I got. But
yeah, and then the weird thing was it seemed like every time Antonio Cesaro would get in the ring and start getting some offense, they would cut to commercial, and they did that as soon as the Real Americans came in. It like they showed Cesaro and then went to commercial, but it ended up Swagger making Brodus Clay tap out to the Patriot Lock or whatever they're calling it, and then the Usos came down and they got some nice time to work, but then there was actually a pretty nice spot where Jey Uso was up on or maybe I don't know, one of the Usos was up on the top rope like they were gonna go for the frog splash, and then Jack Swagger sort of like ran underneath him when they jumped down, and he grabbed him by the ankle and made him tap out in the Patriot Lock again. I thought that was a pretty cool spot. And then finally the primetime players came down, and eventually it ended up with Darren Young hitting that gutbuster move, whatever he calls it. I don't know if it has a name. But
yeah, something like that.
yeah, then the primetime players got the win. And then we kicked off the show. I swear, this pay-per-view seemed more like a Monday Night Raw to me.
It really did. I mean, the 20-minute promo of Triple H to start off the show, like always. But I think that was all right. I think that was fine with me because it resulted into a match. Like that promo turned into a match. So they had Kofi Kingston come out to challenge Curtis Axel. I think they probably realized they had a bit of backlash for not having the IC title on the line, so they quickly threw that match together just so they could have every title on the line to satisfy the name or what they kind of market the pay-per-view to be. And that match actually was pretty good. I was pretty impressed by Curtis Axel tonight. I think he kind of stepped up. He had to work 2 matches, and no, they weren't two short matches. They were two fairly decent matches as well in length. So got to hand it to him. He's stepped up tonight.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good match that he put on with Kofi, but I think it just went a little bit longer than it needed to. It seemed like
I agree. Yeah.
at one point it seemed like, yeah, okay, just get this match over with. There was a
Especially
nice,
with no real build up as well. I mean, they had a SmackDown match and Axel lost or whatever, but there was no kind of actual build towards it. It was a impromptu matchup, so there was no really need to have it to go past the 10-minute mark, which I think it did.
yeah, they mentioned that Kofi would get a future Intercontinental title shot, but then to just randomly bring it up at the pay-per-view, I thought it went a lot. I mean, the crowd seemed to be really into it, but they were way too into it, and then they were pretty much dead the rest of the pay-per-view.
I thought the crowd was okay at times. I think for that, Kofi was getting a pretty good chant during his match, and we'll get into the matches later. But I think the crowd was decent overall. I mean, I read a lot of people complaining about the crowd how bad they were, but I thought that was pretty decent.
Yeah, and then it ended with Curtis Axel hitting the picture-perfect DDT or whatever, that, like, where he,
Yeah,
sort of like a neck breaker type move.
yeah, it's pretty brutal actually. I kind of like that move.
Yeah, I like the move. I just pretty sure they call it like a DDT or something like that. But
Who knows what they call these moves these days? The commentators were. Well, let's get into the commentators. They were shocking tonight. They barely call the moves at all, so you wouldn't even know what they are.
They were talking about like Detroit sports teams, and one point I don't know. They were all over the place tonight. Not they didn't touch on the matches as much as they used or as much as they should have. But yeah. So after that match, we got into. I think there was a backstage promo between the Divas. I didn't really care too much about that.
Yeah, the quick promo with AJ and the three Divas. How the non-title Divas weren't going to help AJ Lee, and she wasn't too happy about that.
Yeah, can we? I just like I agree with these teens, but if we can just swap Oksana and Natalya, then. But I mean, I know that's not the point. It's the Total Divas, and
yeah, Natalya's on the show, so she's got to be in the Total Divas team.
Yeah, but when we did get into the match, I don't really think Brie Bella had to be. I mean, I don't mean that she didn't have to be in it. I just didn't care.
You don't like the Bellas.
I don't
like
like anything about the Bellas. Their attire, their voices are annoying, but I guess that fits their character well. I just don't like the Bellas at all.
And a lot of people think the Bellas have turned face. No, they haven't. It's just a cast of Total Divas taking on the non-cast of Total Divas. The Bellas have not turned face. They are still heels. So stop thinking that, people. They are not face. Because they would be pretty awful as baby faces, I think.
They would.
They're pretty awful as heels anyways, but they'd be worse. Even worse as faces. I think they are kind of working as faces in this feud, but it's just kind of like AJ Lee versus the rest, pretty much. I mean, she's kind of like... You could say she was kind of like the CM Punk of the Divas at the moment. She's kind of, the voice of the voiceless or whatever you want to... I don't know, but she's kind of like the loner, the individual. She's broken away from everyone else.
Yeah, well...
Which I think suits her character. I think that suits her. And I was glad to see her retain. Of course, she won. And one thing I did like about the Divas match was the double sharpshooter. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I loved how they had that little moment where it was AJ and Natalya had their little face-off. I would really enjoy a feud between these two Divas. But, yeah, they had their little face-off. I thought Naomi also looked pretty good in this match, pretty solid. But there seemed like there were botches all over the place.
I don't know what their deal is with Natalya. Like you said, a feud with AJ and Natalya would be pretty good. But for some reason, they just don't see Natalya as a top diva. They just don't really push her to the point where she's in title contention. Like you see Caitlyn, who's talentless and she's horrible, getting title shots. And now I think what they're doing now is much, much better than what they were doing before. But I can't see Natalya getting a title shot or a feud with AJ at all. I just don't know what they're thinking with Natalya. They just don't see her as a top diva. If anyone's going to get the title shot, it's going to be the Bellas. It's going to be Brie Bella. I'm sorry to say, it's going to be Brie Bella. Or they could do Naomi. I mean, she's been pretty decent. I think she's stepped up, and I think they're very impressed with her. I think JBL was talking about how she's, really good in the ring at the moment or whatever. And so obviously they see pretty good things in her, so she could be the next one to get a title shot. I don't know, but I think for now they'll probably continue this Total Divas versus AJ Lee kind of thing for a while, which makes sense. I like how they're doing that.
Do you think we might possibly, maybe they drag this out a little bit more and we get like a Survivor Series sort of match between like the Total Divas?
Possibly. It would make a lot of sense. Do they have 5 non-Total Divas?
If you bring up someone from NXT, maybe, but
yeah,
they
have
don't
to bring like Paige or someone. Or you could throw Summer Rae or something in there. I don't know, but
Tamina maybe.
Like that. Yeah, they could bring her in. Caitlyn as well. Oh, yeah, they have Caitlyn. They can throw her in, which wouldn't really make sense with the AJ and Caitlyn thing. But whatever, it does. Nothing in the Divas division makes sense. So
yeah,
they could do a 5-on-5. I can't see it happening because I can't see them wasting a 5-on-5 match on the Divas. But it would make sense. But I just can't see them doing that, the 5-on-5 concept with the Divas. I think they'll stick to the main guys. Plus, who would really want to watch a 5-on-5 matchup with the Divas? I mean, that could go for 15 minutes. Good Lord. I don't know if I could do it.
I mean, if we had divas that could. If we had 10 divas that could work, I'd watch it, but not the
Well,
Bellas, Naomi now.
Alicia Fox, Oksana, um, would probably be Eva Marie or
Oh
the other
God.
Cameron as well.
Oh
I mean,
God, not Eva Marie. I
and
don't
the
want to see her on.
Brie Bella, she's pretty crap as well. So just think about it. Will we want to see it? Probably not.
Well, the match ended with AJ locking in the Black Widow on Natalya. I thought they did a good job with making Natalya look strong with the double sharpshooter, but yeah, AJ ends up making her tap out.
Yeah, I think Natalya got the most focus in the match. I think AJ Lee wasn't really involved that much. I think when I was paying attention, there was a period of time where she was out of it for a while, and she came back in at the end. So when the other two were down and applied the Black Widow, and Natalya got the win, and yeah, it was a decent match. It's a Divas match, take it for what it is.
And I think the next match on the card was the World Heavyweight Championship. I might be going out of order, but I'm pretty sure that was next.
I think you were right, yes.
And one thing I want to... Wasn't Ricardo Rodriguez banned from ringside on SmackDown or something?
Yeah, and I think he had to fight Del Rio to beat Del Rio, I think, to get the right to be ringside. So maybe he just had to wrestle Del Rio. I don't know, but I think he was banned. But one thing I'm surprised about this match is that we didn't see Ricardo Rodriguez, however you pronounce his name, screw RVD. I was surprised by that. And I think they went with the cheap finish. I think Del Rio holding on to how the match ended was that Del Rio had the cross arm breaker in, and he held it on, and got disqualified. So, got disqualified, kept the title. So that kind of made RVD still look good. So I think there will be a rematch at Hell in a Cell. Will it be in a Hell in a Cell match? I don't think so. So that made RVD look good. Plus Del Rio kept the title, unfortunately. But the end of the match, I think, was the best part of the match. The best part of it was when RVD went coast to coast on Del Rio. That was cool. Good to see that.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen that move, but...
surprised he could still hit it with his age, but he's still got it.
Well, yeah, like JBL said, it seems like RVD only gets better with age, but I did like how he got the cross arm breaker locked in, where RVD hit the frog... Or no, he went for the frog splash, and Del Rio put up the knees, and then locked in the cross arm breaker. I thought that was pretty cool. The finish, I'm okay with the DQ finish, because I would be fine with seeing these two have another match. The one they put on tonight was pretty good. I enjoyed the match somewhat. Not as much.
Well, I knew if they did a DQ finish in this match, they weren't going to do a DQ finish in the main event. So I was surprised. We'll get into that later, but surprised that they did do a DQ finish, because I was expecting a DQ finish for the main event, which we didn't get. But for what it just means, these two guys get another match, which I'm okay with. I don't like Del Rio, as most people know, but if we have to have another Del Rio match, RVD is a pretty good opponent for him. Plus, who are they going to call up to face Del Rio? I think Rey Mysterio is almost just about ready to come back. So after they finish RVD and Del Rio, which I think will end at Hell in a Cell. Oh no, Battleground's next. I apologize. Battleground. Then you can have Del Rio versus Mysterio coming into Hell in a Cell and Survivor Series. If Rey Mysterio's knees can hold up, which we all know if he stands up, he does his knee. So as long as he kind of lays down and doesn't move until he has to wrestle, he might be okay.
Well, he's not as injury prone as Sin Cara is.
Oh, I don't know. I would debate that one. I would seriously debate that. I don't know. It's interesting. Who's worse? Who's more injury prone, Sin Cara or Rey Mysterio? Well, that's a tough one. That is a tough one.
But anyway, one thing I do like about Del Rio is how they've sort of changed his character from where he used to be the coward and always running away, and now he's more of like the vicious, like just in your face style of a heel, and like
seems to be smarter. I think he's kind of, especially with that Ziggler match. I think that kind of changed him a lot, because he's gone from being the, like you said, the cheap cowardly heel to now he just takes advantage of a weakness. He's a much smarter heel. Still doesn't get any reaction from the fans.
No.
Nobody cares about him, but but for what it's worth, his character has changed for the better.
I mean, if Del Rio can be decent on the mic, I could probably start to get behind him a little bit. And, well, I mean, I haven't really seen many botches from Del Rio lately, so I can get behind his wrestling a little bit more.
He's a good wrestler,
Yeah.
but he's just a boring character. I just can't get into him. With his face turn, I was trying my best to like him, but I think as soon as he feuded with Swagger, that was the end of that. But
I
I just
enjoyed the
can't
feud
get.
of Swagger at first, like when it began. I
Yeah,
thought it was good. I didn't really hate the feud as a whole, but I mean, I can understand why people
I
didn't
didn't
like it.
care about it. I liked it when the first couple of weeks they brought in Coulter. I was pretty excited for it, but then after that, it's just the same shit and whatever. But anyways, that's WrestleMania. We're talking about Night of Champions.
Yeah. Next up
But
was
like just to finish it off, RVD Del Rio, pretty decent match.
yeah, it was a pretty good match.
But it's very early on the card again, which I thought if they were going to put the world title match on the card, it'd be way towards the end. Maybe not the last match, but the one before it, so the third last match. But no, it was the one of the early ones again.
So now I think the next one was Ms. Fandango. I think I don't remember. Was it? Yeah,
I
it would have
think,
had to have been
yeah.
because I think all we have left are the Shield matches. Punk.
Um,
Yeah, so I think it would have been Miz next.
I understand why they did this match. I mean, these guys they started their feud at SummerSlam, and I mean, whatever. It's a mid card feud, and they had a quick 5 minute match or whatever it was, and the Miz won. So, no surprise there. But I don't mind it when they do these feuds. I mean, it gives these guys some more TV time and an opportunity. I think the Miz is going to turn heel soon. I think it's inevitable that his face run sucks. Dirt shit rumors are that he's going to turn heel, and I think they could turn Fandango face. You could see a double turn, perhaps.
I wouldn't be surprised if Fandango went face.
Fandango is getting some chance, some support. The crowd is
Well, how
starting
can
to get
you not
into it.
support this guy?
Yeah,
He's just so out of control with some of the things that he does.
yeah, it's just crazy. Plus, he's got Summer Rae, who's absolutely, she's amazing with him as well. So you kind of have to support the guy. He's got a hot chick with him. He's pretty good in the ring. His character's entertaining. I loved it with the SummerSlam, like I think we talked about in the podcast last time when he was coming out interrupting the Miz and just dancing. I thought that was great. So I think his character's pretty good. I think him turning face would not be the worst thing. I think it would probably do him a lot more good because then the crowd would want to chant for him, and then they're already chanting for him half now. I think majority of the crowd likes him, but some are a little resistant to cheer for him. But turning face, I think he could be a pretty good mid-card face, and I wouldn't mind seeing him feud against Axel and take his title from him. Which going back to the first match, I thought Axel was going to lose. I thought, okay, well, he might lose his title to Kingston, but he didn't. So I don't know what they're doing with the IC title, but I think Fandango would be pretty cool for the for the title.
Well, yeah, I was
a good opponent for Axel.
Well, I mean, obviously it was going to be Kofi when they announced, like, oh, I'm going to go to the back, and the first guy I see comes out. But, like, my first thoughts were, okay, who's he going to be the transition champion for? Who's the belt going to next? I mean, that's really all it seems like Kofi's good for anymore.
Yeah, well, Kofi's just directionless. He's just a waste of time, really. I mean, he's just there to hold the IC title for a couple of weeks or a month or two, and until they figure out what they want to do with it. And well, he got a pretty good like we said, he got a pretty good reaction. So there is still some support for him in the from the fans, but I think the people who matter don't really care for him that much.
Yeah. So then we have the CM Punk versus... And by the way, I don't like what they're doing with what they did at SummerSlam and then what they did tonight, where they randomly change it to a no disqualification match. Can that be something you let us know ahead of time, or are you just trying to screw with people's predictions? Like, I was expecting...
Well, who really cares about predictions? To be honest, I'm glad there was a no DQ match.
Well, I'm not.
It added that. I think it needed to be a no DQ match. It added that little extra to it, and this was probably my favorite match of the night, which isn't saying much. Like, I didn't watch the main event much, so I don't know what your favorite match was, but this was probably my favorite one. But I think, like I said earlier, Curtis Axel was pretty good tonight, and he didn't really last that long, I don't think. I mean, CM Punk beat him pretty quickly, and then he got his hands on Heyman, and the big guy, Ryback, came out for the save. I was not expecting that. I think we were all expecting a new Heyman guy, but I didn't expect Ryback to be the guy, which I think is the perfect Heyman guy. Ryback is huge, and he's kind of like Heyman, obviously, having managed Lesnar, it would make sense for him to want to have another big guy as his client. So Axel doesn't fit the build, Ryback does. So I think it's a good decision.
Well, I think really the only good thing about the pairing of Curtis Axel and Paul Heyman is just so Axel has a mic piece, because the dude holds the mic up to his chin. I mean, somebody's got to... He's not very good on the mic anyway.
Like
but
this.
yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get you, CM Punk. I'm going to beat you. He's just, oh my god. He is so boring. Why do they keep giving him the mic? He should maybe say like 2 words. But he'll go on to speak for like 30 seconds, and it's the most boring 30 seconds of your life. I guarantee Heyman didn't want to be with him. You can see like Heyman kind of... I know it's probably part of his character, but he just doesn't think Axel's got it. Heyman knows talent. I don't think Heyman thinks Axel's the guy. He probably doesn't think the same about Ryback, but I think Ryback's character, the bully, is really working for him. I think he's kind of found that character, and I think with some time and some good feuds, we could be seeing something special from Ryback.
Well, what you said about Curtis Axel speaking for, like, just say a few things on the mic, that would be perfect for Ryback with this bully gimmick he has now, and then Paul Heyman
I don't think Ryback... Did you see that interview on SmackDown where he was interviewing some
That
jobber?
was hilarious.
He was actually pretty good on the mic. He was actually pretty good, and it was hilarious. It was fantastic. A lot of people talk down on his mic skills, but I think he's improved out of sight this year. Obviously, this time last year, around Hell in a Cell time, he was starting to get in his feud with CM Punk, and he was really nothing good on the mic. But I think compare him now to last year, he's improved out of sight. I think he deserves the push. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I've liked him from the beginning, and I'm glad that he's getting an opportunity. And the dirt sheet rumor was that he was in line for a big push. And, well, I'm guessing this is the push. He's going to be the new Heyman guy, and he's going to feud with CM Punk, which I think they could probably get 2 or 3 matches out of it, to be honest. Curtis Axel was never going to be good enough. Like, I thought this could be the end of the Punk-Heyman feud. It was going to be, unless they brought in a new Heyman guy, because Axel cannot hang with CM Punk. He just can't get the heel. He just can't. He's just not on CM Punk's level at all. I think Ryback looks to be a legitimate opponent for CM Punk, and is believable that he can beat CM Punk, a guy who held the title for 434 days. I don't think anyone believes that Curtis Axel can beat CM Punk, but I think people believe that Ryback can beat CM Punk.
Well, I'm not saying that Ryback isn't, like, bad on the mic. I'm just saying, like, Ryback could probably have some pretty good one-liners. Like, I mean, Ryback could have some promos where he talks by himself. It's not like Lesnar where... I mean, Lesnar can do good tape promos, but when it comes to something live, he's not all that great on the mic. Whereas Ryback could sort of get that similar treatment that Lesnar gets, whether it's taped or maybe some little segment live. But that way, Ryback can talk for himself. But I mean, if he comes out with Heyman and Heyman cuts a super long promo or something, and then Ryback can just have some like one-liner or something afterwards, and it would fit, because you would think of a big guy as not being much.
Well, yeah, you're right. He probably doesn't need to talk. I mean, Lesnar doesn't talk, and he's fine. I think that's a good thing that Lesnar doesn't talk, because he's not that great. But I think the only memorable thing Lesnar said on the mic recently was, say something stupid, Paul. That was pretty funny. But I think Ryback could be in a similar role, like you said, just kind of stand there, look tough, and say one or two lines when he needs to, and just let Heyman do his magic, do what he does best. That's what he's there for.
Yeah, well, the match ended with, well, that no disqualification. Oh, never mind. But the match ended where they had this table positioned in the corner for the longest time. And it's kind of funny because in the last match, the Miz Fandango, there were chants for "We want tables," and then Chris Axel pulled out the
crowd really
table.
wanted a table.
And then it ended with.
I thought just on the table, I thought they were actually going to put Heyman through the table. I thought, I don't know, didn't expect Heyman to take the table bump, but right, yeah, of course, obviously Ryback came out and absolutely drilled CM Punk through that table. That table was destroyed. And did you see the big cut on CM Punk's back?
Yeah,
Oh.
you could see it almost immediately after he went through it. Like on the replays, you would see it starting there.
I didn't notice it first, but when he was walking away after the match, I saw the big gash. It seems to be a common trait with Punk, getting a big gash on his back from tables and whatever. So, yeah, I mean, Ryback obviously came out. They obviously had to do no DQ if they were going to do this finish. So they obviously had to do a change of plans. But the way they did announce the no DQ, I don't mind, because Heyman. Well, before the match, Heyman was with Brad Maddox, and he said that he was going to just DQ himself, get out of the match, and all be done. And he was trying to outsmart the management corporation, or Maddox, who's probably the low tier of the corporation, but obviously added the no DQ, so Heyman couldn't weasel his way out, which he's done so much, and it was hilarious watching him trying to run away from Punk. I love it when he's sprinting away. It's funny as hell.
Yeah, I love what Paul Heyman's been doing, where he hasn't shaved and he's got like the stubble growing in.
Looks pretty terrible.
Yeah,
he's really embracing the story.
Yeah, and that's what's so great about I'm sure Paul Heyman had been like licking his chops to get a feud with CM Punk someday. This is probably somewhat what he would have planned out. And I mean, just Punk and Heyman just embraced this feud completely. I mean, there was a point where, Punk pretty much, what else can we say? Because there was so much that they had already done, there wasn't really much else they could say. But now that they've got Ryback added in, it sort of adds a whole new angle for them to be able to...
Yeah, they can continue it for much longer now, because they got a new Heyman guy. So Heyman can talk about how he's brought in Ryback. But in saying that, it kind of... You look back at it, at the beginning of the year when Heyman was it Heyman bringing in the Shield to attack Ryback over and over? Was that Heyman? I think it was.
I don't think it was for them to be attacking Ryback, just to help Punk.
Yeah, okay.
And that just happened to be...
So, we won't dwell on that too much then. But, like I said, it just makes sense. You got Ryback, who's a big bully. He's huge. He's not doing anything. Pair him up with Heyman, and you might strike gold. Look at Lesnar and Heyman. They were brilliant together. Could be the same thing with Ryback. And you think about it, imagine if Heyman and Ryback stay together until Lesnar comes back, and you have Lesnar and Ryback together. Damn, who's going to stop them?
Wow, that would definitely be pretty... yeah.
That would be cool. Just to see them in the ring together. Heyman in the middle, Lesnar on one side, Ryback on the other side. Who's going to stop that? That would be sweet.
They're going to bring back Goldberg, and he's going to take him on a handicap match or something. I have no idea.
Probably win.
Yeah. Triple H be his tag team partner.
Triple H comes out with a shovel. Beats them all in 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Could happen. You never know. Wouldn't put it past Triple H. What was the next match after that?
Next up is, I think, when we start to get into the Shield, we have Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler. I think that was what came out first, and they actually put on a pretty good match.
Good match for the length of time they had it. They didn't have it for that long.
Yeah, I was hoping they would get it a bit longer than they did, but they did pretty good work for what they did get.
I think they kind of rushed the last hour. I think they could have we could have left off the Fandango Miz and gave this and the tag team match a little bit longer, because I enjoyed both of these matches. I was really enjoying Ziggler and Ambrose. I think those two work well together. And obviously Ambrose won again. No surprise there. But it's good to see these two. I think it's good to see Ziggler in the US title feud. I mean, I know he's world title potential, but if he's not in the world title scene, it's good to see these kind of upper mid card guys in the US title scene, because it kind of just brings that title up a little bit, because the fans recognize Ziggler as a world champion, and then bringing him back in the US title, they can think of it as a much more important than, say, like they had a R-Truth versus Dean Ambrose, where they see R-Truth as just a nobody, but whereas you have Ziggler who's somebody taking on Ambrose. So I think kind of adds a little bit more credibility and prestige and more importance to that match, rather than if they just handpicked some, like Kofi Kingston, for example, just brought him in for a feud for no good reason. So I don't mind Ziggler in the US title scene while he's not in the world title scene.
Yeah, well, that's what I like about them bringing the titles into this, with them being with the administration, because then it builds up the title, because then people are going to have to chase after the Shield or Randy Orton, and then, like, by the time you can finally overcome them, you'll have the crowd behind you, and that'll help build more superstars. Even if Ziggler should be in the world title feud, I think he'll get more out of going... I mean, people say Ziggler's getting buried, but the way they're doing it, if he is, then they're doing it good, that it revolves around the storyline.
I think it's like, yeah, he may be getting punished or buried, but you can still relate it to the storyline where he kind of went against the corporation and he's now losing and losing over and over. So I don't like the fact that he's not a world champion. I think he should be world champion, and I really thought this was going to be his year, but if he's going to lose, they're doing it in a probably good way, because they set it up to have it as though everyone's against him kind of situation.
I would much rather be seeing Ziggler going up against a corporate Ambrose or just somebody there for the US title than seeing Ziggler versus Del Rio for the world title. I mean, if you wanted to punish him, that would be the way to do it.
Yeah, true.
That feud wasn't really much to sink your teeth into, whereas this one, he's... Eventually, when everyone's going to turn against the administration and team with Bryan to help take them down, it will help put Ziggler over in the long run. And then hopefully he can go back to the world title scene or wherever they put him.
Yeah, and apart from Bryan now, which won't happen for long, all the champions are heels. So I think it's probably going to be a cool moment where we see all these faces, they just overcome all the heels, and then all of a sudden you got all the faces as champions. So I think we're going to expect that soon, when the Shield will finally get beat for the titles. I actually thought the Primetime Players could knock them off tonight. I thought, oh, maybe it could happen, but I feel as though if the Shield are going to drop the titles, Ambrose will lose, and the Reigns and Rollins will lose in the same night, kind of thing. So, and then you have Del Rio's heel and Axel heel, and Randy Orton was champion, but no longer. So the heels are the champs, and it kind of makes sense because the corporation's on top, so all the bad guys should be kind of the champs. So I think it's going to be pretty cool in the next coming months when the faces start to get on top and get the best of them.
And then by that time we'll have legitimate faces, not like what it used to be where we had Sheamus as the world champion and then we had Cena as the champ, ones that you really couldn't relate to because they would pretty much just bury everybody.
The ones that you just didn't want to, the ones where you wanted to cheer the heels. Now I think
that
Cody Rhodes coming back, what they're going to do with him, I don't know. I can't see him in the WWE title picture, but
maybe that's where once the whole corporate thing goes down, and depending on how long Sandow holds the briefcase, they could always go back to that. Think back to when Rhodes beat Sandow at SummerSlam and how
when Rhodes did lose and they had everyone out, Sandow did say he was happy that Rhodes was gone. So they kind of perhaps hinted that there's still some animosity between those two. So that would make sense. That would be cool to see them two fight over the world title. But you got to kind of link it back to the corporation. Would we have Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton for the title or whoever it may be? I don't know. But I wouldn't want to see Cody Rhodes versus Ambrose for the US title because I feel as though Cody Rhodes is ready to be world champ.
I don't really...
WWE champion? I don't know.
Well, I mean... crap, I just lost where I was going with that, but... never mind. I don't remember where I was going.
Yeah, well, Rhodes and Del Rio, I don't think would make sense.
No.
Because, that wouldn't, what's Rhodes got against Del Rio? Nothing. So, but I don't know. I think Cody Rhodes has kind of almost been ready for the longest time, and now the crowd. He just needed the crowd support. I think when he comes back, whenever that is, I think he just got married the other day, and he's just about ready to go on his honeymoon. So probably not until I reckon Hell in a Cell or something he might be back. I think they might keep him off TV for a while. With Dusty Rhodes come back tomorrow from Raw, so I don't know what they're going to do with him there, but they obviously have big plans for Rhodes. Obviously have going to give him a big push. So I think when he comes back, the crowd might go absolutely nuts for him. So this could be his big chance, and they may just go all the way with him. They might just say, well, fuck it, let's put him in the world WWE title picture with Randy Orton. They could do that. I mean, there's a lot of history between Rhodes and Orton, so they could refer back to that, as well as, the corporate angles. So I don't know, but I think there's big potential with Cody Rhodes in the future. Whether that be for the world title.
I do like how they wrote Cody Rhodes off of TV, though, because, well, not only...
It actually was last minute, but they actually, the way they fought him was good.
I think the feud he had going with Sandow, he wasn't getting the reaction they wanted. I mean, he was getting a pop, but when they do it this way, then when he comes back, because the way he got fired, the crowd's going to be super hot for him. And I think when Cody comes back, that's going to be like the big turn where all the faces are going to join together with Bryan and Rhodes, and they're all going to go against them. Yeah,
I think they've got to do a 5-on-5 Survivor Series match that actually matters this year. They've got to do the corporates versus, the faces. That's got to be absolutely fantastic. They do that, and they can have Cody Rhodes come back for that, side up with Bryan, and those guys can get the best of the corporation. That'd be awesome. So I think that's probably where they're going for. I mean, make them all look, bring them all down, and then eventually they're just going to get the best of them and just shine through it. And I think a lot of people are kind of frustrated that it's not all about Daniel Bryan and the Big Show, and now Cody Rhodes is kind of getting involved. But I think that's the whole point of it. It's not just about making one star. It's about making several stars. I mean, you got Sheamus, you got Cena out. You can't just have one guy carry it. You can get away with that with Cena because he's, it's Cena. But you can't get away with it with just Bryan and Punk. You kind of need the extra guys like the Big Show, Rhodes, Ziggler to step it up and be that support as well. So I think what they're doing with this angle is fantastic, because they're going to make 3-4 guys into main eventers. Well, they are main eventers already, but really get them over. They're kind of there. They shouldn't be there in fan reaction wise, but they're still there. But now you get that fan reaction, and they deserve to be there as well.
Well, I think what really helps with this is the fact that Sheamus and Cena are gone, so we don't have to worry about them. Like, we get the chance where what WWE would consider the two top faces are gone, and then they have to build up new stars. Otherwise, Sheamus and Cena, if not both of them, at least one of them would have probably gotten wrapped up in this feud. But we actually got pretty far off from the Shield matches. It ended up being...
Oh, yeah, we did.
Ambrose beating Ziggler clean. I was a little surprised, but not completely, because I don't think they're really going to take this Ziggler-Ambrose feud all that far, so as Ziggler's going to eventually win the U.S. title, because, like we said, Ziggler's more of a world champion. I don't really think they're going to put Ziggler back to being stuck with winning the U.S. title. And then the Primetime Players were defeated by the Shield. That was a pretty good match that they put on.
Probably one of my favorite matches of the night. I think really good to see Primetime Players getting the push. And a lot of people are saying, it's because Darren Young's gay. But they deserve it. I mean, they deserve this opportunity. And Titus O'Neil was great. Darren Young was pretty good as well tonight. I think they hung with the Shield very well. And I think I think if there's going to be a tag team take the titles away, it's got to be the Primetime Players. It's their time. They're ready.
Well, I do like how they did this, though, with the Primetime Players not just becoming number one contenders and abruptly winning the belts. Because then it would pretty much be, okay, it is clear that the only reason they're pushing him is because he came out. Now, I mean, they're at least going to establish it so that it doesn't sort of kill the storyline where now the Primetime Players are going to join everyone else to try and chase after the belts. But I do think that the Primetime Players will take the belts off the Shield in the long run, and I can't wait for that to happen, because both of these two are talented superstars, JBL was really praising Titus O'Neil during this match, that saying about he could be a future world champion and all that stuff. So I'd like to see these two guys. I'd like to see these two guys get the tag titles.
Well, obviously, what they did in this turmoil match, they've had the primetime players beat the tag team division. You know, what those other 4 teams in it, they're the tag team division. Primetime players beat them all, so they've established themselves as the number 2 tag team. So now the fans, they know that, and then they can. What they should do now is just have primetime players, number 1 contenders. They did lose clean, but you know it was kind of the referee was distracted, whatever. So have that, have the primetime players. They're the number 1 contenders, and just have the clear vision in mind. Announce it on Raw that Battlegrounds, primetime players versus Shield, and just build up towards it. Let this feud go, I think. Give it a couple of months. Let it go. Shield got the best of them, but the primetime players, they can say, yeah, we'll sorry, give us another shot, we'll get him. And, you know, you could go off that or something. And I think the Shield, they are kind of, as tag team champions, they're great, but I think they're kind of holding back other guys, the other tag teams, from shining. I think that the primetime players, they need the belts. The Shield doesn't. I think the Shield, they're going to be over. They're going to be fine without the belts. The primetime players, I think they need the belts just to kind of establish them. And I think the whole gimmick, millions of dollars, you can have the belts and say, look, you know, we're made of millions. We're making millions of dollars now that we're the tag team champions. I think we just fit absolutely brilliantly with their gimmick and their characters. And a lot of more people are starting to do that little millions of dollar dance, which I love. I love that little thing. So the crowd's starting to get behind them as faces. So I think in the next few weeks, you could see primetime players starting to shine through if they want them to.
Well, I think the primetime players should, because with some of the tag teams that are around now, looking at the Real Americans, they're not going to be together forever. Eventually, Cesaro and Swagger are going to break up. So, I mean, some of the teams, there aren't really a whole lot you can get behind. I mean, you have the Usos, the Real Americans, and primetime players, really the main ones that are actually built up. But I did like how they did the match, where the primetime players didn't just start out and beat everybody and bury the tag team division, how they actually came out last. And I guess that also sort of saved them saved energy or whatever for the main event, or not main event, but the title match. But the way they did it, I mean, if the primetime players don't win the belt soon, you miss the opportunity for a possible feud with a team like the Real Americans, depending on how long they keep them together, because I know there's a lot of people who get behind Cesaro and say he should be a world champion. I mean,
I'm one of those.
Yeah, so am I. But I mean, so we're not going to get a tag team like Swagger and Cesaro together forever. It'll probably last for a little while longer.
They're just together to give them something to do. So they've got no direction with them, so they're just together to put on good tag team matches, but not really to win.
So yeah, I think we've pretty much. Oh.
Just to sum that up, I think the Shield are holding back to the titles. I think if you could do primetime players as champions, and you can have, you know, like the Usos and the Real Americans, and then got the Lost Matadors, whatever the fuck they call it, coming in soon. So you kind of need the belts on more lower mid-card guys, like the primetime players, rather than the main event. Like the Shield, I think they're main event guys. I mean, honestly, they're a huge part of the show every week, so I don't think they need the belts at all. They were doing fine without them in the first place. And it's kind of, I think, probably holding them down, because they're going to have to start, instead of working against the top guys, they actually have to compete in lower mid-card matches with guys like PTP and the Usos. So I think it's probably holding the Shield down more than anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if they drop the titles soon. I think it'd be for the best.
Well, when eventually the Shield do drop the titles, the WWE is going to need to build up a few more heel tag teams, because the only legit heel tag team we have at the moment is the Real Americans, excluding the Shield, because Los Matador, or however you pronounce it, they're probably going to be face.
I don't think so. I think they're going to be heel. I think they'll be heel.
Well, maybe they'll. Well, I just see like the gimmick is them starting out as face and then eventually turning heel at some point.
Who's going to want to cheer? Who's going to want to cheer for them? I can't see anyone wanting to cheer.
I mean, especially once they figure out it's Primo and Epico, if that might change things. But I don't know.
God, that was terrible.
But
well, what's the next match? Is it the
uh,
title match?
yep, we're at the main event between Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton, which I was surprised that Triple H announced that there would be no interference, because that was how I was expecting the match to end, by some form of DQ.
I think everyone was expecting the Shield to come in if that was going to be the case, if Randy Orton was going to lose. I'm very surprised that Bryan walked out as a champion. I didn't get to see a lot of the match. I had it going while I was doing something else, but I didn't really get to see it. Was it a good match?
Yeah, it was a pretty solid match, normally what you would expect out of Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton. I thought they put on a pretty good match. It's not like they completely... It wasn't like Cena and Bryan, though.
The match where Bryan beat him for the first time to be number one contender, I think it was, for whenever that was, where he made him tap out like a couple of months ago. I thought that was great. So I think these two can put on good matches. So, like you said, they pretty solid match.
Yeah, it wasn't a match where they completely... It wasn't a match where they completely, like, exhausted their full movesets, though, because they only had, like, half an hour, but... yeah, go ahead and talk about the finish.
Well, it was going to be a squeaky clean finish until the quick referee count, which I saw the finish, and I was like, whoa, that was very quick count, and I was expecting Triple H to come out and be like, hang on a second, that's bullshit.
Well, did you see where the referee got knocked out of the ring? And they brought out a second ref?
Yeah. He got knocked down, and they had people kind of like playing off that he was concussed or something, and he just did a quick count, something ridiculous. So they probably will play into that. I'm expecting Triple H to come out and strip Bryan of the title and act like he never won it, act like that title, like him winning it last night never happened. And I think that's probably going to how to play it and give it back to Orton, and Bryan will be like, well, fuck my life.
Well, I was extremely surprised that Triple H didn't come out like immediately after the fast count and say that Bryan wasn't the champion.
Yeah, I thought he was going to come out for sure, and I was waiting, and then, well, he got out of the ring and he started, with the playing to the crowd and whatever. It was a pretty lackluster win, to be honest. I think probably people were surprised, but there wasn't really that much of a huge reaction. Like when he won it at SummerSlam, it was massive. But when he won it tonight, nah. I don't think many people really cared that much because it was a quick count. So I think a lot of people are kind of expecting, oh yeah, he's not going to have that for very long.
I do like how they are saving it for Raw, though, because now that he wins by the fast count, it's going to sort of make you tune into Raw to see, well, what exactly is going to happen with this now.
Well, I won't be watching Raw because I'll be playing GTA 5, so I won't be watching Raw. I might have it going.
Well, the majority of the fans.
Yeah, well, it's still Monday night for everyone else, but I'll be playing GTA 5. But I might have it going while I'm playing it. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, obviously, this open the show tomorrow. You can expect Triple H to cut another 30-minute heel promo, and you could probably see Daniel Bryan and come out, and Randy Orton will be with Triple H, and he'll talk about how he got screwed over, and Triple H will agree and strip the title of Daniel Bryan and give it straight back to Mr. Orton, and they'll act like nothing ever happened, and another rematch will happen at Battleground.
Don't forget how he's going to bury the referee in the process.
Yeah, well, wasn't it Scott Armstrong?
Yes.
Was it? Yeah, so they're probably...
He's going to put him in a match against Ryback. The referee.
Dick Ryback. Probably put him in a 3-on-1 handicap match with the Shield.
No, 3MB.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think I just can't see Bryan having the title for long. I'm not excited by the fact that he won it because he didn't win it for me. He won it in a cheap way, so to me that kind of ruined the whole moment. And I think that most of the people kind of expect Bryan to be stripped. So I will be absolutely shocked if he walks out of Raw tomorrow as the champion. I can't see that happening, but it may. But for me, I think Randy Orton will get his championship back tomorrow. They could do a rematch at Battleground, and Randy Orton could win it back again. I don't know. I hope not, because I hope they don't do too many kind of title changes, because
and then you have the title counts. Like Randy Orton's already 10-time champion, so you don't want him to be a 15-time world champion after this feud, and you don't want Bryan to be a 5-time champion. He's only held the title for a total of 3 weeks. So you don't want that to happen. So I think they just kind of need to sweep this one on the bus and just act like Bryan never won the title and don't count it as a title win.
Well, I'm still holding out hope that there's a possibility that Paul Heyman will eventually join the administration at some point down the road. I mean,
I don't think he will. I think if anything, he's gonna be against them. And I can't. Well, the thing is, why would Paul Heyman team up with the McMahons? Everyone knows that McMahon and Paul Heyman don't get along.
And
everyone knows that.
That's the thing. It would surprise people.
It would surprise, but you'd kind of be like, well, what the hell, And I think, but the thing is, can you see Paul Heyman as a face? Nah.
No.
So
I'm just thinking eventually at some point you would think CM Punk and Daniel Bryan are going to be on the same side. Because so far to this point, Punk has pretty much no-sold the administration takeover. And
Punk's too busy with Heyman. He doesn't care about anyone else but Heyman at the moment.
Yeah.
But you know what I would think would be pretty awesome if Daniel Bryan and CM Punk feuded with Rollins and Reigns for the tag titles. If then they're going to keep the Shield as the tag team champions, have Bryan and Punk team up.
Well, then who's going to face Orton?
Well, you can have the Big Show. Big Show or...
I guess.
Well, they're kind of heading towards that anyways. Big Show will face Orton for the title at one stage. That's going to happen, and you just got to accept it. But I think Kane will be back soon. So I don't know if they're going to continue Wyatts and Kanes. Can we just talk about the Wyatts for a second here? They're a flop. Of anyone who thinks the Wyatts are going to take the titles off the Shield, are going to feud with the Shield, it's not going to happen. At this rate, the Wyatts, they're barely on TV. If their vignettes are more over than them themselves. So anyone who believes that the Shield and the Wyatt family will feud is wrong, very wrong. I cannot see that happening at all.
Oh, I don't
the
like
Wyatts
how...
gonna have to pick them up. Gonna have to do something real quick if they're gonna be anything by WrestleMania.
I don't like how the majority of the time they announce the Wyatts are coming, because they're supposed to be these backwoods people who just no technology, they just show up whenever lights go out and all that. I mean, it's not really... They're more of like they just make a surprise appearance, whereas if you announce them... I mean, like when they announced the debut, you would think they would just show up out of nowhere and attack Kane, but now when they announce something like that, it just doesn't feel the same, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It'd be like the Shield, everyone knowing when the Shield's gonna come out and whatever. I think the Shield always kind of comes out of nowhere. Still, you still expect them to come out, but the Shield kind of still just pops out of nowhere here and there. So I think the Wyatts, like you said, they should probably add that element of surprise to their character. But honestly, when we really aren't seeing them at all. I mean, I know they're not a part of the pay-per-view, and they built them up so much. They have not been existent at all since SummerSlam. Really, I think I've seen them once against Ziggler. That's it.
Well, I know the Wyatts, they had I think 1 or 2 matches against the Primetime Players. That would be a feud I'd like to see if the Primetime Players aren't going to go immediately for the tag titles. I'd like to see the Wyatt. I don't know if that would kind of...
I don't think the two characters suit. I mean, these guys love their money and kind of, whatever, and this playful kind of baby faces versing this demented, demonic, satanic kind of trio, the Wyatts. I don't know. This doesn't suit, in my opinion. But I think if it was to happen, Shield and the Wyatts, that would be great to see. But I just can't see it happening at all, because I think the Shield will be broken up before WrestleMania. I think they will break up before WrestleMania. But they could stay till WrestleMania versus the Wyatts, then break up after the Wyatts beat them. That could happen. Can't see it happening, but that could be one way they could break up the Shield. But for anyone who thinks, yep, Wyatts and the Shield is a lock, no, it's not. The Wyatts, they're going nowhere.
Now, I can't really picture the Wyatts and the Shield facing off, but one match I'd like to see down the road, even though I see Ambrose as more of a heel character, at some point I'd like to see a face Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Well, Ambrose is kind of like, he is a bit, weird. Like, he's kind of got that, they always play on about how he's, very weird, and he's just I like his character. I think Ambrose is really growing on me. I know he had such huge hype from the internet fans about him coming in, but now I'm like, with his match against Ziggler tonight, I kind of went, wow, yeah, Ambrose has got it. I think he's going to be a big star in the future, in my opinion. I think he's just starting to break away from the Shield a little bit more and a little bit more, and I think you might see him as I want to say this. Who do you think will be the first world champion out of the Shield? I think it's not going to be Rollins. I think we can count that one out. Rollins, I think, is going to be the Jeff Hardy type of character, and I think it will be Reigns, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's Ambrose, because I think Ambrose has already established himself as a singles guy, and I think he's just got it. I think he's great.
Oh, my pick would have been Ambrose. I think he's got the best mic skills out of the three. I know Rollins is up there.
The reason I say Reigns, though, is because Reigns is your typical kind of build. I think he's going to be a really good babyface. I think he's got the great look, and I think he's got that, he's got the charisma. I think he's just got that kind of charm that, you can get behind. I think he's really big, and I think he just has the look that WWE is he's gonna go far, kind of thing. He could be in that kind of like the Batista role where he talks sometimes, but he doesn't really talk that much. He's just a kind of a badass kind of a face. So I think Reigns and Ambrose are going to be the two stars of the Shield. I've always seen Rollins as, I'm not a big fan of high flyers, so that to me kind of doesn't interest me that much in Rollins. I'd prefer a Reigns character way more than a Rollins character, but I think I see Reigns as the next kind of the breakaway guy, the next champ. Well, I think he probably would be the first world champion, just because of the fact that he has all those qualities, as I just said. Whereas Rollins, I think he could be stuck going nowhere for a while. I see him as the Jeff Hardy kind of guy, the big high flying, does the cool fancy moves. But he would take him a lot longer. I think he won't be WWE champion for a good 5 or 6 years, in my opinion. Just like Jeff Hardy took a long time to establish himself as a singles guy. I think Rollins will be down the same path. But the thing is, Rollins can talk, so that might work in his favor. But I don't know. All three guys, I think, will be world champion at some point. But it'd be interesting to see who gets the nod first.
Well, maybe it has something to do with Jeff Hardy being my favorite superstar as a kid, but I personally like Seth Rollins the most out of the three. Ambrose is definitely a close second. But, yeah, I agree. I would really like to see Seth Rollins have the Intercontinental title at some point. I mean, I don't expect him to be in a World Championship feud anytime soon, but if he could at some point get the Intercontinental title and hold that for a little while, I think that'd be a good belt for him.
Yeah, I think he a more of a hardcore kind of like, doing ladder matches and things like that. I think that would really suit Rollins, just to kind of do all those crazy high-flying moves and those awesome spots. Like, I remember that TLC match that they had back at TLC. That was awesome. I mean, Rollins was great in that. So I think that, to me, has always kind of been in my head that Rollins will be great in that kind of a role. I think you're right with that IC title. I think they should probably use the IC title as kind of like that match where you kind of get the crowd going and you have a ladder match or something like that, something crazy, and you get the crowd going. Rather than, I think that's the thing with mid-card titles, they just don't have anything of interest. I think you need stipulations to kind of lift the match a little bit. Give it a tables match, give it a ladder match, just to kind of raise the interest. And that's another thing on the pay-per-view. we're not seeing stipulations anymore, which to me brings it down. I'd rather see, like I said, tables or a ladder or whatever. And I think that's probably because of a result of those gimmick pay-per-views. But still, you'd love to see some more stipulations. I know that last second, like we said earlier, the no DQ match was announced tonight. But why not, add stipulations to these matches to raise it a little bit more, make it more interesting? Because when you have 7 standard matches on a card, it's just, it's kind of the same shit. It's like watching Raw. There's nothing different, nothing special about it. Whereas normally on a pay-per-view, you'll get that stipulation match. You'll go, wow, that'll be awesome. I want to watch that, rather than watching something I saw on Raw 2 weeks ago.
Well, overall, yeah, I agree with like the stipulations. Some of the I'm trying to think of a stipulation they haven't used in a while that they could bring back.
Well, they've kind of used them all. A lot of them are kind of pretty similar. Everyone's calling for War Games back. I've actually never seen a War Games match. I might need to go back and watch one, but they all thought, Battlegrounds would be for War Games. I don't know. I mean, then obviously it's not going to happen, but it'd be pretty cool to see. It'd be something different we've never seen in the WWE. It's a WCW thing, so that would be pretty cool. I think that's kind of the only stipulation that we haven't seen in a while, considering we saw the Ring of Fire match at SummerSlam, which was the Inferno match we didn't really see for a fair while there. But they've kind of really done everything. I think they need to get rid of Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. God, please get rid of that, so we can actually have Hell in a Cell be good again, rather than just be used just because. And same with TLC. The only gimmick pay-per-view that I like, there's 2. I don't mind Elimination Chamber, and I don't mind Money in the Bank. And other than that, all the other ones, they need to go. And I think they're slowly phasing them out too, which is hopeful. Hopefully they do that.
I liked...
Yeah, go on.
Battleground, it sounds like... Just the name of the pay-per-view sounds like there's going to be at least one maybe like 1 or 2 stipulation matches, probably only 1. I would think...
Well, the thing is, if you're going to do Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan again, you kind of need a stipulation. Otherwise, it's the same thing. So I think there will be at least a stipulation applied. Maybe like a last man standing match or something.
Something that doesn't like leave the opportunity for the ref to screw anybody. Or I don't think we'll see something like an I Quit match, something this early.
No.
That'd be something kind of cool to see maybe towards the end of the feud.
Definitely.
But, yeah, so overall, what did you think of the pay-per-view? I give it maybe a 5 out of 10, maybe 6.
I'm probably leaning towards more of a 4.5. I was actually thinking 3 at first, but no, it's probably not that bad. It's definitely the worst pay-per-view of the year, I think.
Definitely.
I think it was really nothing that special. I mean, Daniel Bryan won, but like I said, did he really win? I don't think so. It's a bit disappointing because we had SummerSlam, which was brilliant. We said it in the last podcast. It was an amazing show. I think we said 9 out of 10 or whatever. Now it's kind of going back to 4, 5 out of 10. So, worst pay-per-view of the year. What's the next one? Battleground. Hopefully they pick it up then. Was it because there was no John Cena? I think I'll be really needing Cena that badly to lift the show. Perhaps. Maybe. Maybe we can't have a good WWE at John Cena. I think the next coming months, we might appreciate Cena a little bit more when he comes back. I know his character's the same shit all over, but he always kind of delivers. But for me, decent show. I enjoyed it for what it was. I was not expecting much at all, so that kind of hasn't really worried me at all. And if you came into this pay-per-view thinking, this is going to be amazing, you were thinking very, very wrong, because there's only really one match that I was looking forward to anyway. So 5 out of 10, 4 out of 10, whatever. Nothing special. Wouldn't watch it again.
I mean, I thought Night of Champions... Well, at first, until we actually got the card, but I thought that it had a lot of potential with some of the feuds that they had at SummerSlam that just fell through.
The main problem with this card, and the main problem with many of their pay-per-views, is they are not announcing the matches early enough. Or they might announce it on the day or on the SmackDown before, like we had Ambrose and Ziggler. They just confirmed it on the SmackDown. They need to announce these matches earlier so they can have a build and everyone knows what they're gonna get, rather than you tune in and you have 2 impromptu matches on a pay-per-view. And they had that 20-minute promo at the beginning just to fill in time as well. Not good. Not good at all. So they need to step it up a little bit there. And I think probably the fact that they're not getting enough time, not giving themselves enough time to build it up. I think, is there 2 pay-per-views in October? I think there is. I think there's Battlegrounds and Hell in a Cell. So this is going to be a clusterfuck of a month coming up.
Yeah, because I know they said Battleground was 3 weeks away, and usually there's like a month gap, so there's probably 2.
I think Hell in a Cell will be all rematches. All of it will be rematches, because you have Battlegrounds and then you have Hell in a Cell pretty soon after. And then, yeah, I might have Survivor Series to finish off those feuds. And what's that TLC after? TLC to I don't know, start fresh.
And then we get Royal Rumble, where we'll probably see the return of John Cena.
John Cena, Sheamus will be back. Jake the Snake Roberts will make a surprise entrance. That's all I can really predict right now. The winner will be CM Punk or Daniel Bryan. Maybe Cody Rhodes as a wild card.
That would be
Those are my 3 picks.
That'd be something cool to eventually see. Like, also with having Punk and Bryan on the same side fighting against the administration, maybe eventually leading to a match at WrestleMania, even if it's not for the titles. I mean, Punk versus Bryan at WrestleMania needs to happen at some point.
Definitely. That should main event. It won't, because it's not a big enough draw to the casual fans, but Daniel Bryan versus CM Punk main eventing WrestleMania will be one of the best matches we'll probably ever see, because those 2 guys, they had an over limit match last year. Yeah, yes. I think they have a rematch at Money in the Bank. I think they might have. So they've had some matches before for the title, which has been great. So they do it on the grander stage. WrestleMania 30, all the internet fans will wet themselves over it. It'll be their dream.
In an Iron Man match.
Oh, give them 30 minutes, 60 minutes.
Give them the whole show.
Give them 60-minute Iron Man match, main event WrestleMania, WWE Championship on the line. Daniel Bryan beats CM Punk. God, what more can you ask for? I don't know. I don't care who would win that. It'd be pretty sweet to see. I'm not the hugest fan. I like both of them, but I'm not like diehard CM Punk or go kill yourself kind of person like there is out there. But to see Daniel Bryan and CM Punk main event WrestleMania would be amazing. And but I want to go back a little bit. Survivor Series. Who do you think? Do you think CM Punk is going to be on Daniel Bryan's side around Survivor Series time? When do you see this Paul Heyman CM Punk thing ending? Because we have the Ryback now coming into it. Will we see CM Punk join up with Daniel Bryan? Will that happen? And who do you think will be on the team? 5v5 Corporation versus Daniel Bryan and friends. Who do you think is going to be the 5 on each?
Well, for the 5, I was thinking, it would be something like maybe even Triple H gets involved. I hope not, but we get something like Team Bryan versus Team Orton, where we have Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Cody Rhodes, Big Show, unless he turns heel, but I'm thinking Big Show.
He won't.
And CM Punk going up against Orton, The Shield, if they're still with the administration, and maybe Ryback, or if they add in somebody new, or maybe Triple H.
I think Triple H. I think I would probably have the same match pretty much. I actually thought Ryback would join the Corporation, so I think you're fair to say that he might be in that match, but I don't know. I think Ryback won't be involved. I think Triple H has been rumored to have 2 more matches this year, I think. He's going to be wrestling in 2 matches this year, I think. That was the number. It might be 3. So I think he will be in that Survivor Series match. But I don't mind. I really don't have a problem with Triple H wrestling. I don't mind him wrestling at all. I know a lot of people saying, well, he's past his prime, blah, blah, blah. And he's just hogging the spotlight. But is he really? I don't think so.
I think if you pair him with the right superstars, he can put on a good match. And I know people didn't like Lesnar and Triple H a whole lot.
That was crap. But yeah. 5v5, you have Triple H. He only has to wrestle 3 or 4 minutes, and then gets eliminated. So whatever.
I'd be okay with Triple H wrestling as long as he doesn't take over the feud. Like that whole Punk thing, I think he got involved. I didn't watch at the time, but when Triple H got involved. I don't know if that really did
that
much.
kind of killed Punk more than anything.
I don't want that happen to Daniel Bryan. I mean, if Daniel Bryan and Triple H say they have a one-off, that'd be fine, but I don't want Triple H
Daniel Bryan's got to win it.
Yes.
Triple H beats Daniel Bryan. Watch the internet explode. I would explode because that's, if anything, Triple H should just be putting everyone over.
Yeah, just bring out the shovel.
Ugh.
You put him in some
Yes.
no-holds-barred match and put a shovel under the ring.
Oh, we might see the return of Kevin Nash.
Oh God, no.
The phone call. Kevin Nash, big sexy, coming out to powerbomb Daniel Bryan, the vanilla midget.
Daniel Bryan's gonna kick him in the leg once, and Kevin Nash is gonna be crippled for life.
Oh my God. But yeah, I think that's pretty much covered it. I think we've gone off track enough.
Yeah.
Battlegrounds is next. We'll be back again for Battlegrounds. I got 1,000 views on my podcast for this one on
I got
SummerSlam.
100.
So, well, that's the channel difference. Nah,
Yeah.
I'm just joking. But 1,000 views. We appreciate the love. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And if you did, please give it a like and subscribe to both our channels. It'll be in the descriptions, probably in the title as well. On my channel, I'll have his name, and on his channel, I'll probably have my name. So go ahead, do that. And yeah, thanks, guys, for listening in. I wouldn't say watching, but listening. And we'll be back for Battlegrounds and Hell in a Cell Survivor Series. For as long as you guys keep watching while listening, we'll be back. So appreciate the love that you guys gave us. I hope you continue the support.